Hi, and welcome to TANGEL Business Show, where we bring you the stories, the challenges, the lessons, and above all, the knowledge, mindset, strategies, and inspiration for you to take the momentum building action steps, for you to unleash your purpose, your passion, in order for you to be able to build a profitable and a successful business on your terms. The aim and the objective of the TANGEL Business Show is to be able to bring you all of the stories and the journey of successful entrepreneurs who have been able to push against the odds in order for them to be where they are today, for them to be able to teach you and to show you some of the mistakes they've made in times past and they've been able to overcome in order for you to be inspired, for you to take the right steps to make sure that you're building the confidence that you need to build and grow a profitable and a successful business. And I have the privilege of welcoming on the show today a very good and dear friend of mine, Natalia Nicholson. She is a digital marketing expert, and she has been in the entrepreneurial journey for the past 20 years. She's done several workshops for big name companies like Lloyd's Bank, for Google. She's done several workshops, and she's still doing several workshops. And she helps underrepresented female entrepreneurs to put their voice out there, to come out of their shell in order for them to build a profitable business on their terms. So she is going to come on the show. I'm going to bring her on in a minute for her to share some of her stories, some of her journey, some of the challenges that she has been able to overcome as an entrepreneur, in order for you to learn some things that will probably help you if you are looking to start, or you're already on the journey and you're looking for inspiration and strategy or business tips that will help you along the way. Hello, how are you, Natalia?
I'm good. For these current times, I can't complain. I do find it difficult with the children, the work, and balancing everything. But
Absolutely.
when all said and done, I'm good. I'm blessed.
Oh, that is great to understand. I just introduced you a couple of minutes ago as the digital marketing expert, and you've been in the entrepreneurial world for over 20 years. And I know you're not just as a digital marketing expert, but you do lots of several things, and you do them so well. But before we delve into some of the things you've done, your experience, your expertise, can you share with us who exactly is Natalia Nicholson?
Oh, who's Natalia Nicholson? That's a loaded question. Natalia Nicholson is a woman of colour that had dreams from a really young age, and I've just been on a journey of fulfilling them. And for each leg that I get through, I feel like I get to know myself more and more, and I keep changing and I keep evolving. The me now at 42 is not the same me that started, when I was 14, 16, and I said, I want to do and be better. So it's quite a loaded question. I'm just someone that's always followed my vision and my dreams and made sure I've turned my goals into reality. And a lot of that stems from helping my family and helping my community.
Oh, excellent, excellent. And I do know from following your entrepreneurial journey and some of the things that I've been privileged to actually be in your circle of training. So I know that you do represent the underrepresented women. You do speak up for them, and then you're called to serve those sector people. And what inspired you to pick this sector people to work with them and to shine the light on them?
I think for me, I always had a lack of understanding growing up exactly where I came from. And what I mean by that is I'm second generation. So my parents are from the Caribbean. And when you grow up here in this country, everything that's taught about you and people that look like you you kind of wonder, well, what was before slavery? Like, how did I actually get here? Yeah, and for many of us, for some people of colours, we've got ancestors and we can trace our family trees back. But for many of us, because of the transatlantic slave trade, we don't actually understand or know where we came from. Our place in this world and in the society. You're very misguided. You don't have that sense of belonging. You know, even being second generation, being here in the UK, growing up at my age, you definitely knew that you weren't from, even though you had a British passport, you knew you weren't British. It wasn't said, but it was very much felt in the way that you were segregated. Then you'd go back to the home country of where your parents come from, and they would see you as being different as well, because, you know, you lived in England. So there's a real just not having a sense of belonging. So my desire of helping other people really came from me wanting to help people understand where they came from. So my first business was actually an online bookstore. So I thought I was going to be the multicultural Amazon, by the way. That takes me back a long time. That launched in 2003, and it was offering a range of A to Z books in all different categories, from historical, geographical, you know, children's literacy, cookery, but all around the different cultures that make up the Black community. And it was to give people a sense of belonging and understand where they're coming from, and just understand how powerful we are as a nation. When you really start to look back at the history of people of color, you know, our nation was once an incredibly very powerful nation. And the more you understand that, is the more that you understand, well, okay, the wonder oppression happened, because it's almost like, why did this group of people out of any other community in the world suffer so much oppression on such a large scale? So as weird as it sounds, that was actually the reason that fueled me to get into business. And since then, I've just been fighting that cause, just in different ways. And the story that resonated me with the most was Harriet Tubman, believe it or not. When I read her biography, I was around 14, 15. And when I read that, and I understood that, you know what, a woman can have no rights, no freedom, be beaten, be raped, and she still continued her journey of that many years to keep freeing slaves at the risk of her own liberty. That's when I understood, for the day and age that I live in, I can do what I want.
Absolutely. Because you actually even have more liberty than she had, and therefore you have, you know, you can actually do much more, because she's actually paved the way, and it's absolutely wonderful. That's awesome. That's really awesome.
And you're totally right. Our liberty is different. And I think growing up here in London, a melting pot, my business isn't just women of colour, because I've watched many different underrepresented communities. I've watched Indian immigrants come into this country and be treated different. I've watched Eastern European people come into this country and be treated different, whether it's down to their surname, their dialect, the way that they speak. Even just watching, growing up in the 80s and 90s and seeing the LGBT community and all the things that was happening to them. There's a lot of underrepresented communities here in the UK, and that is what I stand for. It's not about me saying I want to make change and we're owed something as people of colour. It's about working towards an equality where everybody is treated fairly.
Awesome. That is wonderful. And in terms of your entrepreneurial journey, now we've seen what has really inspired you. And I'm certain, because as an entrepreneur myself, there's so many challenges I have to overcome, so many hurdles I have to, go over, and I still face them daily. And knowing you and some of the things that you've done, can you tell us some of the things that you've actually had to do? Because I did mention that you've done several workshops for big names like Lloyd's Bank, for Google. So can you give us, before we go into some of the challenges, can you tell us some of the things that you've had to do, in all the 20 years or more of your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, sure. It's really funny when you're younger, you think that you know, someone or something or the universe or whatever God it is that you praise has got something against you. You feel like someone's got their hand on your forehead and you're running as fast as you can, and it feels like someone's just saying you're not going nowhere, and no matter how hard you try, it feels like you're not getting where you want to go. And I think as you get older, maybe it's not age, I'm not an ageist, it's experience. The more experiences that you have in life, you start to realize that actually what you put out is what you get, and you are on a journey. I'm a very spiritual person, so the journey that I've gone through so far, I was meant to go through this journey. God's walked on this journey with me.
Wow.
If that makes any sense. So many things that's happened in my career, have the things that I've been really good at, they've happened really easily. So I've got a thing now, if something's too hard and I've got to push and push and push, it's not for me. It's
not for you, yeah.
No, because when it's meant to be for you, it happens really easily. So it's really strange. I went, without going through my first business, Passionate, the online bookstore, that actually led me to bankruptcy. Like, I mean, I owed friends and family money. I had a property portfolio at the time. I lost it all. I remember having to move back home. I remember the day that my card, I put it in the cash point machine, nothing came out. I was just about to go on a girls' trip to Athens. We always used to do a trip every year. And I remember calling them and just saying, it's over, it's ended. And I remember feeling like my world was just over, like having to admit to people the position that I was in, and having to, like, my property's getting repossessed, watching bailiffs come. It was horrible. The shame that you feel is not nice. But the strangest thing ever is that was the making of me. Without those events happening, I wouldn't be sitting here now speaking to you, and I wouldn't even have had the successes that followed. So it was just a part of my journey. It was a part of my story. And I think that's another reason why I work with women as well. We all make mistakes, and mistakes teach you things. Absolutely. You know, failure teaches you things. I call it failing your way to success. So without these events happening in my life and me learning this, I just wouldn't have graduated into the entrepreneur that I am. There's just certain lessons you have to go through in life. And it makes all of us have our own why, and it makes all of us develop our own story. So one thing led to another. That led to me then starting a cleaning business, because I had no money and had to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? And it humbled me. So if you want me to be honest with you, I think in terms of experience and wisdom, that was one of my greatest blessings from God. My arse needed humbling. And oh, did I get humbled? I think we can all be humbled sometimes.
like, wait girl, I'm in charge of this vehicle. I think you're moving too fast? Or you know what, let's take a reverse and let's drive again. Yeah,
totally. It was a really humbling experience. Like, I was literally cleaning properties and answering the phone, so I was pretending to be the CEO, and at the same time I was actually cleaning other people's houses. But that business actually was my first successful business. I think it taught me the grassroots of business. I needed to do that. So I think in the first instance, I'd graduated in marketing. I was working at Capital Radio. I thought I was a hot girl. And I was in a corporate environment. So when I first started my own business, I treated that business like I worked in the corporate world. And that's how I ended up really going bankrupt, thinking I was just spending money and I wasn't getting the return on investment. So the cleaning business, if you want me to be honest with you, really taught me about grassroots, supply and demand, you know, understanding what your margins are, understanding processes, operations, systems. It really taught me the core elements of business. But again, had I have not gone through that big, massive failure, I would never have got to the cleaning business. This is what I mean. Your story's just written for you. From there, I had my son. I had an awful birth. I didn't think he was going to survive. And then when I brought him home finally, you know, I couldn't sustain running a cleaning business. By now, I was on a turnover of $500,000 with the cleaning business, but I had big commercial contracts. So I had a retailer where we have to clean all their shops from between 6 in the morning and 10 at night. I could not have a baby and then hear that an alarm was going off. We was doing construction cleaning. It was a big outfit. And at that point, I said, you know what? I really, really love connecting with people, helping people, uplifting people. I'm going to get into coaching. It suits my lifestyle. I was tired of the cleaning because I'd now become a slave for myself. So at this point, I now learned the difference between being a business owner and working and being a slave for yourself.
True.
And I didn't want to be a slave for myself anymore. The cleaning business means that you just wake up to people shouting at you every day. After the cleaning business, coaching came. I realized that actually I'm too harsh. You know, when you come from, especially when you come from a Black culture, yeah, you know, we are quite hardcore with the way that we speak. Yeah. It's like, come on. So that didn't really work quite well with life coaching. I realized that that wasn't my space. I then got into corporate coaching, but then the market was getting flooded with coaches. And by then I kind of missed being an entrepreneur, as silly as that might sound. Even though I was teaching it and coaching it, I missed it. So I set my own candle business up and decided that, you know, I'm going to become an e-commerce seller. I'm going to get back in the game, so to speak. And I thought I could just design my whole range of candles, bring them back from China, put them on Amazon, and boom, that would be another stream of income. Didn't work like that. I had to really learn and understand how to, you know, sell online. And that's when I came into my own. I just loved all things digital. And the more that I learned, you know, it was the more that I just started flourishing when I really started to understand how to sell online. And then I just started getting asked to speak at some events. Speaking at those events led me to a contract for a non-profit organization. Training for that non-profit organization then led me to Google. Google then led me to Lloyd's TSB and the whole I'm Remarkable movement of really helping underrepresented women. So it all just fitted into place like a jigsaw puzzle.
Awesome.
I didn't plan to end up where I am. I didn't plan to get into digital marketing. That's the irony of it. And it's funny that my candles brought me to be a digital marketing trainer. Had I not started, so for every business that I've started, it's brought me to the next stage of life. So now that I'm older, I leave it to God.
That's the best thing. Trust me, that's the best thing that we can do for ourselves. Because at that point, when we hand everything over and it takes charge, you know, the door starts to open, the pathway starts to open up onto us. Absolutely.
And what people don't understand, it's the universe. So whether your God is Allah, whether your God is Jehovah, whether your God is God,
anything you actually believe in that is a superpower that you actually you believe in, you know, and you say, you know what, I need you to take charge of this. The pathway opens. The pathway opens all the time. Okay, so
I feel like we're going to church, just to let you know.
I know.
I feel like we're gonna be preaching like Sister Sue. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And some of the challenges you encountered along the journey, because every time, definitely, as you move from one area of business into another, as you evolve into something else, what are some of the challenges that you've had to face, and what really helped you, you know, to overcome those hurdles or those stumbling blocks that you may have encountered along the way?
Huge amount of challenges, if you want me to be honest with you. In the beginning, definitely cash flow and finances was a big problem. That's why I was spending so much and not understanding that you can't spend what you don't have. Like, you know, every marketing activity should have return on investment. You know, you can't be spending more than what the business is actually making.
Bringing in.
Yeah, and it sounds so basic, but these are a lot of things that are not a part of our blueprint in our community.
Because somebody will actually argue with this with you to say, well, they said when you're starting your business in the first few years, you're going to put in more into the business than you actually will expect back. So what would you say in that instance?
Yeah, that person probably wouldn't like me because I've got a big bear bug about this. The problem is that they teach you to write this business plan that is in a structure and a format that comes from an academic institution. Business plans, the way that you put them together, are very institutionalized. They don't connect to real life. You need a plan for you. You need a plan that's going to keep you on track to understand what your business is doing, what the audience is doing, and what the plan is around it. So I'm a big advocate of, I'm always telling people, when you write your first plan, it needs to be a plan for you. What are you going to do day by day, week by week, month by month? It's a lot around goal setting. Your business plan is actually linked to mindset and goal setting, in my opinion.
Yes.
And I understand what some people are saying, that, you know, it takes 3 years to get into a profit or even to get into break-even point. So yes, you are going to be running at a loss, but that loss shouldn't be you spending on items that are not bringing you a return on investment. I might have spent money on a website and I might not see that money for 3 years, but if sales are being processed through that website, it's return on investment, even though the return's not going to come till further on down the line. Okay. If I'm just paying for advertising in a newspaper or television advertising, or, you know, you've got a Facebook advertising campaign and you're not seeing like results, it's like screwing up notes and just dropping them down the drain. That's just money. It's money going. You know, if, like the cleaning business, I've seen people set cleaning businesses up and their staff's got loads of really nice uniforms on. You know, they're using maybe products that are really high end. But again, if you haven't got the work, you're not getting return on investment on that, and that stock's just sitting there, it's not a smart decision. So what I would say to people like that is, textbook, yeah, that's fine, we can speak like that, but the reality of the situation is actually there's just so many variants. So one of my core beliefs, and this is what I teach even in my mastermind, there is no one size fits all. The advice that I would give to a cleaning business, to someone that's just started an app, to a sustainable fashion brand, they're all going to be different, because their return on investments will look different in their spending, in their cash flow. Absolutely. But they need to have an understanding and framework. And I just think for me in the beginning, I just didn't understand what cash flows were. I didn't understand what P&Ls were. Hell, if I was going to keep it real with you, when I first started, I didn't know the difference between net and gross. You're so caught up with this fantasy of, I'm going to be my own boss, I'm going to rule the world, and that's what I meant by the experience of bankruptcy humbled me, and that's a part of it. So I would say finances, and I also think the relationship that our community has with money is a big thing as well. You know, in this day and age, people will talk a lot about privileged people, you know, supremacy. We hear these words a lot, especially in these times where, you know, we've had the George Floyd, there's a lot of things that have been happening, the recent Harry and Meghan interview, and it's thrown up in the air exactly, you know, well, why is it that these group of people actually are not represented or treated unfairly? And what you've got to remember is, for a lot of other communities, there's things in their blueprint that's not naturally in our blueprint. No one doesn't teach you about money management a lot in the Black community. I'm not saying everyone, but on a mass, many of us that come from more poorer, deprived backgrounds.
In fact, it's like a taboo when you talk about it. It's like you shouldn't even talk about money.
I totally agree with you, yeah. And that's sorry about that. And I think that's one of the big problems. So my relationship with money, I was brought up to spend. So naturally, now that I've started my own business, what do? I'm just spending, thinking if I spend, it will just come in. I'll be, you know, really wealthy one day, or I'll pay it back then. And I'm not really being strategic or accountable for the money that I'm spending. And I think that's what one of my biggest challenges was to overcome. Now, when I think about my businesses, I think about, right, I want to create, you know, generational
wealth. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it doesn't matter how much money's in my bank account. Even just spending, like me and my husband are so different on this. The whole car thing. I used to be that girl that would want, you know, the flash car, the convertible. Yeah. I used to, even just down to the way that I used to dress in designers. Now I'm the tightest person going, and I make more money now than I did then. And I'm like, you know, it's a piece of metal. I don't need to have the brand or the badge or yeah. Even now, you know, even my husband's like, what's with the Aldi mayonnaise, and everything's Aldi brand. I was like, it's in your mind, it doesn't taste any different. I'm not actually that caught up with brands. And I think a lot of that has become with me retraining myself around my relationship with money. And also just having more respect for it, especially when you're working with people who are underrepresented, or you're fighting causes, and you start to see how other communities are really living, and you start to realize actually you're privileged living in the UK.
True.
Yeah, it gives you a different mindset. So money is definitely one for me, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think another big obstacle to overcome was I'm dyslexic. So I found I struggled a lot in terms of writing. And it never got discovered until I was at A-level stage, because I was the kid at school that fell through the gaps because I was good. When you're good, you can just go unnoticed. It's really easy just to blend into the background. And I think that was a big battle for me. Always just like, you know, someone pointing out, well, there's a mistake on that, or you don't say like that, there's a grammar mistake. Having to write business proposals, having to write anything, you know, that was of a formal structure, it would always come up. And things of how I've overcome that is just having to just have more time. If I write something, and this is the thing, I'm actually a good writer, but I have to read back what I wrote out loud. I can't be too quick with it. And the world of technology has been wonderful. You know, even we had spell check with Microsoft. Yeah, now you've got apps like Grammarly. And the thing is, God blesses you. I'm not the greatest at spelling, grammar, or articulating myself in written word. But luckily, he gave me a mouthpiece.
You can speak out. You can speak out what you want these days, and then everything turns into text, which is good.
Yes, I think sometimes when you've got a weakness or you've got something that you struggle with, you have to remind yourself about your strength. And there's nothing wrong with vulnerability. Like now, I'm quite comfortable to say, you know, I'm dyslexic. This is how I get over it. And I find that when I am in a workshop teaching, and because I am so vulnerable about the things that I've been through, it makes other people feel like it's okay. You don't have to be perfect.
Absolutely.
You know, life's not an Instagram storyboard.
Nah. Tell me about that. Oh, that's really good to know. And I know that you are a mom, you're a wife, and you have you know, multiple businesses that you're running successfully. So how do you actually, and then you're an author, you know, there's so many books under your name. So how do you manage all of the moving parts of running everything and making sure that, you know, it's all together, nothing falls apart?
I have no idea. If you want me to be honest with you, I'm going to keep it real on that one. And if you want me to be honest with you, I don't think I'm anything special. I personally feel that women have just got it, haven't we? Let's be honest.
Well,
we have this ability, and if you're going to do something, you find a way to do it, you find your way around it, and you find a peaceful way to do it. I just feel like a lot of women wear an invisible superhero cloak. I don't think it's anything that's amazing about me. I think there's many women like me, and one of the things that I do strive is that I do feel like we need to be praised for that a lot more. Even now, we are rocking it in business, let's face it. Women of color open up the most successful businesses out any community worldwide. That's in America, West Africa, the Caribbean, the UK. We are really rocking it right now, and many of us have got families. Many of us are, you know, mums, daughters, aunts, friends, where the support of a community. And I think we just do it, and we do it quite effortlessly, and we do it without complaining. So I don't think I'm any different in that sense. I just feel like if you've got a lot of plates that are spinning on a stick, you just figure out a way to balance them all and find that balance. But everything I do, I take quite seriously. So it's just about prioritizing. If I was to be honest with you, I can do the amount that I do because I do have a really good team as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's important.
Awesome. That's really good. And then knowing that a lot of businesses, especially with what happened with COVID in the past year, it now tells us that going digital is the best thing you can actually do for yourself, because it's been able to open up so many opportunities. Some businesses are actually saying that having just, you know, a shop, you know, that they had to shut down for almost a year is not the way to go. So what can you say, being a digital expert, what can you say is the basic step for anyone that wants to either start a business, or they want to move their side of business to an online operations? What are the basic steps they need to understand?
I think the first thing they need to understand is who is their audience. I think with the digital world, you've got to remember it's really noisy. This isn't like traditional marketing where you could put something on TV while Coronation Street's on, you know, you're going to reach family people, or you just put an ad in the newspaper. There's so many different channels now that you can hang out on. There's so many different ways to reach audiences. I think the average person sees 40,000 ads a day. So the marketplace online is actually quite saturated. It's cheaper to reach your audience, yes, but it's saturated. So my first thing would be, it has to be clear. You have to be clear, sorry, on who your audience is. I can't stress that enough. You don't want to be in what I call bloody waters. You don't want to be in a saturated marketplace. If you are, you need to figure out, how do you go more left or how do you go more right? How do you put yourself into a niche? Because the digital world enables you to segment your audience, you need to think to yourself, okay, what audience am I going to target? And it can be niche now. It is not like traditional marketing. So you can literally say, my product is for women of color that come from Haiti that are 25 to 30. You can actually go that niche if you want to, because of platforms like Facebook, where you can target people via interest. You could actually reach someone that specifically. You could even say, you know, I don't know, you're selling a travel package to the UAE. You can niche down and say, I only want to advertise to people that travel back and forth to the UAE and the UK, and they have Emirates Air Miles. I'm pulling it out of the sky. So understanding who your audience is and really niching and drilling down is really, really key. 2, you need to be innovative. If your product or service was offline before and it was more of a bricks and mortar or a traditional business, you need to think to yourself, okay, we're watching systems and processes change in this digital age on how you do things. How does this affect my business, and how can I make the buying process easier for my customer? And then you need to change the model of your business in a digital sense. So innovation is really key. And there's a lot of examples I can give of this. If we look at blockbusters and Netflix, you know, when Love Film, which used to be Netflix, approached blockbusters, they laughed them out of the room and said, no, thank you. They ended up going out of business. So innovation is really important. Even my gift store, you know, now that there is COVID, I used to do a lot of pop-up stores. I'm now having to change my models. And one of the ways that I'm changing that is I'm now selling more digital prints, so people can print the designs on a cushion, on a mug, the same products that I used to sell, but now you can choose the design and you might choose the quality that you want. Does that make sense? Or personalize it? You need to think about the buying experience. It's really important. You need to understand the customer value journey, and you need to relate that into this day and age, and how can I produce or serve my audience but make the whole process a lot easier for them digitally. And then that will answer how you can be more innovative. But those are the 2 things that I really feel like you need to do. And you will need some marketing budget. We've reached a stage now with the digital world, to just grow organically, you're going to need to give yourself some time. And if you haven't got time, you've got to
basically sit online. You've got to have that time to sit online to actually, you know, build it. And who's got that time? If you're an entrepreneur running serious business, you don't have the time. So it's either you got the time or you got the money. Because I always tell people, you can have, if you want to start a business, you want to run a business, you want to grow a business, you either have time or you have money. You can't, you know, you got to choose one. If you don't have the time, you have to have the money to do the work for you. So, but if you don't have the money, then you've got to, you know, do it the hard way and put your time in. So
and it's a lot of time. And I think people need to be clear of that. And I think thirdly as well, you've got to invest in yourself. I think that's another thing about our community. We don't really understand the value of investing in ourselves. Like, you know, for instance, even with what you do, if I had someone like you when I was starting off that could just keep me in check in terms, remember what I said about the business plan, one of the most important elements of it is mindset and goal setting. So even to start off with, if you're not sure about things, you know, having a coach, having someone to help you is absolutely key.
I can definitely I subscribe to that. And then just before we round up now, there's 2 more questions I just want to quickly put to you. So if I know some of the people that I deal with, they are still in their 9 to 5, and then they have a side hustle business are pursuing or want to pursue, but they haven't really, deeply gone into the entrepreneurial. But what their desire is actually to, move away from 9 to 5 and become their own bosses. So what is the pathway for them to be able to do what? They still have the 9 to 5 and they have a side also. How can they manage both of this in order for them to do the migration easily one day?
Yeah, I think the people who are in the 9 to 5 working role and they want to transgress over into being an entrepreneur, they're risk adverse, and that's fine, because it's good to know yourself. It's good to know what your boundaries and your limits are. But at the same time, you need to curb that entrepreneur spirit then, because if you're going to have a full-time job and still have that income and be committed to that job, you're going to have to find some time. So my first thing that I always say to people is, you need to sacrifice things. Like, my friends will tell you, like, they always say getting hold of you is like getting hold of Maggie Thatcher. It's like getting hold of the Prime Minister, because I'm very clear on my priorities around my day. I've got work, I've got my kids, I've got the house to run, and that's actually my priority for the day. And anything socially, I understand, is it's a luxury. And those are just some of the sacrifices that you do have to make. I'm just keeping it real. So if you're going to have the two and you still want to be, having spa breaks or hooking up with the girls or friends every week or every month, you need to really look at that and readdress it, because you're going to have to be committed to just the two things of, being in a full-time job, especially if you're at mid-management or higher level, and starting your side hustle. So understand there's things that you're going to need to sacrifice within your life. You can't do it all. All of us who are women that are listening to this, even yourself, that to handle your family, do a business, look after your parents, and the other things that we've got going on, there are things that you have to sacrifice. That
absolutely,
you don't get to do the whole self-love, self-care thing very often. And I think, second of all, you need to just curb that entrepreneurial spirit and just start with something small and build it. Entrepreneurs, we've all got this disease. I'm guilty of it myself, just to let you know, where we're doing 10 things at the same time. You need to curb that and just start in one place and master that one place, get the income coming so you can start that migration. Don't make your starting point big, like you're running a business, like you don't work, because you're just starting.
That's a recipe for failure.
It is.
Awesome. All right, and the final thing is, what is the strategy or lesson or tips that you would want to share with someone listening today about starting and building a successful business? What would be the big lesson or the big tip that you would like to share with someone today?
I think for me, when we're looking at, things like money, things like strategy, but then we're also looking at maybe the flip coin to that, which can be a contradiction of, God having a plan and a journey. You need to find the balance in two. So I would say, if you don't plan, you plan to fail. But at the same time, there's many different routes to the same destination.
Absolutely. That is absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Yeah, you do need to plan. You do need to have a strategy in place, but sometimes the end result might not go the exact way that you want it to go, but you do need to plan. So when you have to make changes or decisions, they're informed ones, because you've got a clear strategy
in place. Oh, that's awesome. And if we want to know more about you and what you do, how can we find you? Where is the best place to get hold of you?
You can check me out on my website, which is just my name, which will be on the screen, natalianicholson.com. And you can find me on Instagram under the same tag and name, LinkedIn, the same tag and name, and even Facebook, again, Natalia Nicholson as well. And it's Women in Digital Business, which is all about working with women on a 12-month program to help them really implement their digital marketing strategy, learn how to build sales funnels that drive traffic, get leads and convert. And at the end of that program, they get access to funding.
Oh, awesome. So you've heard it all, ladies. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, whoever is watching us today. This is Natalia Nicholson, and she is a digital marketing expert dealing with women in digital business. And I hope all of the lessons, the stories, the challenges, and how she's been able to overcome them, the mindsets, and all of the inspiration that she's shared with us today, you'll be able to take something away with you, to understand that building a business, growing a business in whatever niche you find yourself, it takes planning, it takes you to understand your market, it takes you to understand your audience and the people that you are called to serve, and it takes you dedication and not just taking things as they come at face value. You need to plan, you need to go deep down, and you need to, you know, find a route either in masterminding with people who are already on that journey. Someone like Natalia, who has already been there, and she provides a lot of free resources on our website. And if you wanted to go deeper into the mastermind, you know, you want to really launch out, you want to really do something, you know, within the next 12 months, she's available. All right, that will be all tonight on the TANGEL Business Show, where we bring you the stories, the knowledge, the mindset, the inspiration for you to take the momentum building action steps to build and grow a successful business on your terms. Don't forget to catch us next time on your favorite show. Good night and bye for now. Thank you.